Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn to Code with Noob. So today we will be learning a bit about Mobx-state-tree. So I'm trying to learn more about Mobx-state-tree because that is what is being used in one of my React Native projects and I want to learn a bit more about it. So this video is basically discussing the intro or some higher level APIs I will touch in the Mobx-state-tree, and future videos will be more a bit about how this Mobx-state-tree gets connected to the views and components. So alright, let's straight dive in. So if you want to install the package of Mobx-state-tree, so you can easily do that. And if you already are using TypeScript, so there is a um, by default support of what do you call that, generators, or yeah, there's a by default support of generators. All right, so how can you pull down the Mobx library into your React Native project? So this is how you can do it. Just copy and paste this thing, and as by this video I'm pretty sure like this Mobx versions are a bit old, so you can search on Google what are like the latest versions on of this. But yeah, more or less the command remains the same. So after you have ran these commands, you can see in the package.json your Mobx-state-tree dependencies should be there. So we need Mobx React, Mobx, and Mobx-state-tree. All right. So yeah, these are some of the dependencies which you need to install. Now, so in the React community, Mobx-state-tree and Redux, there is a lot of debate in the Mobx-state-tree and Redux. Since I'm actually pretty new to React Native and the React Native community, I am actually using Mobx-state-tree. It is a bit of a learning curve for Mobx-state-tree, but it's not that bad. Alright, so what is actually this Mobx-state-tree? So it is basically a state management. It is like a state management thing, or what I would say is, yeah, basically a state management infrastructure, or I would also say like you can basically write a full featured like React Native state management thing without the boilerplate of Redux. I haven't actually really used Redux that much, so I cannot say that Redux is totally bad, and Mobx-state-tree is good. But yeah, I have started using Mobx-state-tree and I really like it. All right, so diving right into the Mobx-state-tree. So Mobx-state-tree has this concept of like tree because it has a tree in its name, so it has a concept of tree. So trees can have nodes, right? And the nodes can have leaves, but the nodes can also have other nodes, right? So these nodes can, oops, I should have done this comment thing. So these nodes can also have other nodes. So this is the basic structure, like the structure of any model defined in Mobx-state-tree is a tree structure. Okay, so for example, so how do we go about actually defining a model in Mobx-state-tree? So first thing first is I will just import types from Mobx-tree, right? And after that, for example, if I want to define a model of to do, then what I can do is types dot model. So model uh, is one of the method which you can use to basically define a model. So model, you can also add a name of this model. So for example, to do, and then you can define all the properties of it. So let's say a to do has its own task name, right? And it is of type string, right? And it has its status, or I would say completion status, something like that. And it can be initialized as false too. So when I am initializing it as false, it means by default when I will create this to do model, uh, it will be initialized as a false value, right? Okay, so how you can actually initialize it? So for example, I can have my to do one, and I can just say to do dot create, and that's pretty much it. So now to do dot create, it will actually create a model of type to do, and this model is a Mobx-state-tree model. So now and also, like, you this Mobx-state-tree model, which is given by to do dot create, it's an immutable model. The only way you can change the state of this model is by providing actions to this model. So for example, if you want to change the name of a task and you want to change the completion status, you have to define actions related to that. All right. And also the other thing is, so for example, if you want right at the creation, you want to define like a task name for this, like you want to like initialize this property as soon as you are creating this model. So you can actually do that too, like just specify that in task name, and you can name this, your first model can be to do one. Now in order to change, for example, you want to change the task name, so you can define those as an action. An action actually gives you a self object which is basically constructed as soon as like your sorry, I did this totally, this is wrong. So you can have actions, and in actions you can have you can say like change task name, and you can provide a name of the task, right? It can be string, and there is your task name, right? Now there is one more thing, uh, which is the self object. So this is the self object which you declare over here, and all right, there should be one more bracket here. So this is one of, so actions, this is how you can define it. You can basically define a method, right? Change task name, and inside that method you can just say self dot task, oh sorry, task name can be its name, right? Now the same you can do with your completion status. So you can basically say change completion status, and you can provide the status can be a boolean. Now you can say self dot completion status is equal to status. So in this object you have like two methods which are basically actions, and it has the self object. And the best part of this self is this self is actually constructed as soon as you create the model. So as soon as we instantiate this model, this self is constructed right over there, and this self is actually this free. So it is actually free from this object. So yeah, this is how you can actually change the properties of this model. So now if I want to change the property of this model, I can just say change completion status, right? And I can provide in whatever the string, whatever the boolean value I want, right? The same thing I can do with change task name, and I can provide whatever the task name I want, right? So to do 2. So this is how you make a simple MST model. This is like a very basic introduction of it, and by actions you can change the properties of the model, or you can change the state of the model. Now there are other things, for example views. So for example there is so if you want to add views, so you can do like this, views, right? And inside those views, so if you see in the views, it basically again has the same thing like a function. So you can just do self, right? And that's pretty much it, right? So for example in the views you want to compute a value, right? Or maybe like you just want a toString of this object, I don't know, something like that, right? In which you want like a string status, right? And what you want to do is you just want to return like whatever the task name is at that particular point of time, and then just basically concatenate with whatever your completion status is, right? So over here you are basically computing the value, but you are not actually changing the property of MST model, right? So I am not actually saying that self dot task name dot whatever or self dot task name equals to name. Like I am not writing anything to this MST model. Instead what I am doing is I am basically computing some value based on whatever the information I have. So basically viewing the value or computing it. So nothing I am changing to the MST model. So there you can use views, right? And the views has memoization baked in. So for example, if you change the task name, right, and you say okay, now check my string status, the task name will be updated right away. It is so it won't be like this task name is. So for example at one component you are saying change the task name, and so for example you're pressing a button, you change the task name, and on the component you are actually showing the string status of it. So as soon as you change the task name, your string status changes immediately. So that is the benefit of views. So yeah, so this is like a short introduction. As I will learn more about this, I will share more information with you guys. So yeah, let me know if you found this helpful, and also let me know if I mentioned something wrong, or yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please don't forget to click on the like button. If you don't like this video, please mention why in the comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. Keep learning.